Good evening, everybody. I'm continuing a rather bad track record of late starts. Some of you may have been in the channel earlier today to know why uh, it's particularly late today, but we are here and we're going to be doing Against the Storm as soon as I can find it. So, yeah, we'll load that up. Um, so this is a game by Aramite Games, but I was given a key by Hooded Horse, which... Oh, world save is incompatible. The current cycle needs to be restarted as the old save is no longer compatible. Your citadel and main progress will always remain intact. And for some reason... There we go. Something has changed on my screen since last time. But yeah, okay. Yeah, so one thing I wanted to say just off the top, Hooded Horse is definitely a very interesting strategy and RPG publisher. They've actually most recently published Xenonauts 2. I will confess I've not actually played the first Xenonauts. I was hoping to give that a try, but yeah, that didn't turn out. So, but in this case, I was... they've got a really, really strong... I mean, it's kind of funny. I've been saying this for the last, I guess, year or so, it feels like. We've got a very strong pipeline of really interesting projects that they're well, not just releasing, but continuing to announce. But definitely a developer that sort of found their niche, very heavy in terms of the strategy, generally a little bit more on the complex side, and role-playing games, although not exclusively so. For instance, Against the Storm, probably best described as a roguelike city builder. I think with most publishers, you don't want to be too... How do I put it? Like, there's a difference between being like a single note and just kind of having a general style. But I'd say, like, if you're the sort of person who likes playing, you can think of it as comparisons to other publishers. So if you like Firaxis style games or things that maybe Slytherin puts out. Hello, Olaf. I'm sorry I'm late. I know you're the one who tends to get hit by my lateness. It is something... I did get caught up on a bunch of things over the last 24 hours, so I think as long as I can get enough sleep, I'm actually going to be starting at 7 o'clock again. I don't have coffee right now, unfortunately. I already drank all of it, but yeah, anyways. Yeah, so if you want to compare in terms of publishers, which I don't think is a very natural comparison for a lot of people, I'd sort of say, Firaxis style, Slytherin style. There was a third one that I was going to mention, and I completely forgot. But again, if you like Civ, if you like, I don't know, maybe... I'm trying to think of some of the RPGs that would be maybe comparable to the things that Hooded Horse is putting out, but probably the better way of just thinking of it is a type of game. And I think in general, if you are someone who tends to like somewhat complicated strategy games, there is a fairly high chance that you're also probably going to like RPGs, because generally there winds up being sort of a certain number crunching element towards it, even if it doesn't wind up being, even if it doesn't wind up being exactly like Civ, the RPG. There's still a little something there. But in this case, one way or another, they've very clearly found their audience. They've talked a little bit about the sales results, and it seems to be that so far they've met with success with all of their games. I think probably they expect that one day there's going to be something that disappoints maybe. It's a little bit like, I guess, the Pixar problem, where for the longest time Pixar sort of felt like it could do no wrong, and I think Ed Catmull in his book talks about wanting not wanting that to become sort of a source of paralysis, because of course nobody wants to be the person responsible for Pixar's first failure. And certainly you don't want to consider failure to be inevitable, right? Like if you're an air traffic controller, you don't say, okay, well, one mistake's going to slip through no matter what, or a surgeon or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is that particularly in, maybe less so in air traffic control, but definitely in something like gaming, where it's so hard to see where people are at and what is interesting, and also just what projects can be fulfilled. So I have to suspect, in terms of the selection for some of these projects, I believe that I mean, I don't know a ton about this stuff, but I generally think that projects are given in a certain stage of sort of completeness when those evaluations are being made. I mean, I guess it's a little bit like anything. There are various stages of projects, and I'm assuming that the closer it is to its final version, the lower the risk, but as a result, the more that the developer is going to ask in return. And more importantly, the more the developer will have already spent and so wants to see a return on. But one way or another, right? The fact of the matter is that if this was an exact science, EA, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard, they would be producing hits every single time. There would be no disappointments in terms of games. And I refuse to believe that it's merely a function of, we were on a deadline, so the game couldn't turn out. I think there are enough stories of people being surprised about the results that the games. I think in this case here there is a certain amount of judgment that's involved. But one way or another, Hooded Horse has been very good at picking their projects. There's definitely been ones that I've been excited about, which I've found have been acquired or published by Hooded Horse. It's wrong to say acquired, because Hooded Horse is a publisher, they're not Tencent or something. But they've definitely been going down a really interesting path, and I'm very happy to see success along those lines, mostly because it means that there's more stuff that I find interesting that gets made. Okay, so we've got the Payment Planner update. We introduce a new tool to help you keep track of all the recurring payments from Forest Mysteries, modifiers, and perks. This update also brings balance changes to cornerstones and multiple UX improvements, such as matching the trader's offer and resource sacrifice auto-termination after the storm. By the way, on the note of the storm, there is a big thunderstorm. It might actually be clearing up now, but I was going to say this has become a LARP. The World Events update. In this update, we bring you 5 new world events and numerous UI improvements to the recently revamped Lightstorm cycle. We also introduce various balance changes, new icons, custom illustrations, and sounds for some world events, along with a lot of bug fixes. Cycles Reforged update. Embark on a cycle-long journey toward the Ancient Seals. Grow your caravan, solve world map events, and plan your route towards the ultimate goal. This update marks the first step of our extensive revamp of the meta layer and lays the groundwork for exciting new things to come in the future. For more information, check the in-game encyclopedia and click the buttons below for our update notes. I do want to catch up on the World Encyclopedia, incidentally. Quality of life update. It's actually... I keep forgetting how many updates have been since we went to Old World. I loved Old World, by the way. I actually played... I was very disappointed by how we wound up last week with Assyria. So I ran and did my own Assyria game, and it went really well. I was close to an ambition victory, but it was the ambition victory was going to require 6 legendary cities, and so there wasn't a way of me avoiding the points victory out of. Well, I mean, there's some things I could have done to ruin the points, but suffice to say, I sort of snuck in a points victory before the ambition victory that I wanted. But I guess this means I go up past the noble to see how I handle the other mode. Okay, quality of life update. In this update, we are bringing you some long-awaited gameplay and interface improvements, such as a game history screen, a Citadel summary view, a button to unassign all woodcutters, and shortcuts for buildings. We've also introduced numerous balance changes to service buildings, Stormforged cornerstones, regular perks, and level up rewards. Fisherman Soothsayer update. In this update, we bring you a new Glade event, a Prophetic Fishman Soothsayer, and numerous balance changes to trading, rainwater production, and mining. We've also made some UI improvements, including changes to the Embark panel, ruin highlights in the resource tooltip, and a perk label cleanup. Forest Treasures update. Explore small glades and discover elusive treasure stags. 3 new traders with 4 unique perks in store, and the Rain Punk drill that spawns valuable ore nodes. The update also includes balance changes, UX improvements, and bug fixes. Merchant Shipwreck update. In this update, we introduce a new Glade event, the Merchant Shipwreck, as well as 6 new ghost encounters in the Cursed Royal Woodlands, 7 new orders, and 8 new deeds. We also changed how standing levels progress on trade routes, added new decisions to already existing events, implemented numerous UX improvements, and fixed a lot of bugs. I believe Sentinel of the Forest update was the one that we finished off on, so in this massive new update we introduce a 5th playable species, foxes. This update also brings with it 5 new buildings, new orders, new events, a new food type, new upgrades, and a level cap increase. We also introduce unique starting abilities for each species and deliver changes to the hunger system with hunger stack thresholds for each species. To unlock foxes, you must reach level 10. Okay, so we're going to play, and as the warning told us, we have to go for a new map. So, quite a bit on the map here. This area contains a weakening ancient seal. At the end of this cycle, if the seal is within your embarkation range, you can try to reforge it. So that'll give us an additional 10% by the end of the cycle. And there's one over here, also bronze seal. An ominous presence, world map modifier. Something strange is trapped beneath the ground. Gain twice the hostility each year, but every time a villager dies or leaves, hostility decreases by 15 points. An overgrown library. A remnant of a bygone era when royal archivists themselves ventured out into the wilderness in search of knowledge. One of your starting blueprint choices is replaced by a wild card. You can choose one blueprint from all of the unlocked blueprints. Ruins. This region was settled very frequently in the past. The chance of finding ruins and glades is much higher. Petrified necropolis. World map modifier. Rocks in this region have a very peculiar shape, and they smell funny. Dead villagers can turn to stone. Gain 5 meat for every 10 stone and clay produced. Horrifying! Okay, so I think I do want to. So the thing for me is I want to try out. The new stuff. And it seems to me that this is the closest I'm going to get to being able to try out the new stuff. So I think what we'll try is we'll try and get this bronze seal into range first. Following that, we'll maybe try and make a go on the other bronze seal here. Ancient seals. The Blightstorm cycle is said to be somehow connected to the strange ancient seals found all around the world map. These intricate structures were built by a long-forgotten civilization, and it is believed that they hold a primeval malevolent force at bay, the so-called Sealed Ones. Unfortunately, the power of the seals has gradually waned over the millennia, causing the Sealed Ones to slowly regain their hold on this world. Your goal as the Queen's Viceroy isn't just to establish settlements and collect resources, but also to reforge these ancient seals and help the Crown protect the kingdom. To reforge a seal, you will have to journey toward it with your caravan, collect enough seal fragments on the way there by winning games and completing modifiers, and successfully settle right next to it at the very end of the cycle. If you can make it there much sooner, you can try and reforge it right away, but the cycle will end as soon as you start your settlement in the Sealed Forest. There are several types of seal. Okay, so we can't try more than one. I'm glad I read this. There are several types of seals with distinct names and symbols. Each subsequent seal requires more seal fragments and is located further away from the smoldering city. At any given time, you can only see a maximum of 4 seals on the world map, 2 of the same type as the recently completed one and 2 new ones. Successfully reforging a seal will grant you additional Citadel resources at the end of the cycle. The The first time that you reforge a specific seal type, the time between future blight storms will be extended by a few years. So it says that there were 4 on the map, so that would imply, unless of course because we haven't completed one, the two seals that I did previously are non-existent. Okay, so Coral Forest doesn't strike me as the easiest start, but let's try it anyway. Okay. So I'm debating between going with veteran or pioneer, but I think I should keep veteran as a minimum. Let's take a look at our summary. So the coral forest, the true source of the coral's growth is unknown. Contrary to common belief, it doesn't usually appear in flooded regions. The unique influence of the coral mutates trees into distinctive strands that offer various resources. If you can just give me a second here. One thing I want to focus on for Against the Storm is working out... I kind of want to work on planning out my supply lines and just getting a good grip on the game. So like one of the things I'd like to try and do with games like Against the Storm, even though I've played it a couple of times, I'd really like to drill down into specifically why I'm doing certain things and seeing if I can maybe just put a little bit more efficiency in terms of how I'm playing the game. So with that in mind, I'm just going to get a notepad. I'm also going to get some tea while I'm at it. So I'm going to do a quick run of ads, but that's just to, like, that's mostly to disable the pre-roll for the people who are coming in. So if you have not gotten up and gotten a stretch or gotten something to drink, now's a good time to do that. I shouldn't be more than a couple of minutes, but because I know I'm going to take a second just to grab the notepad anyway, I figure we'll get the formalities out of the way and then we can focus on the game for the rest of the evening. So I'll see you all in a little bit. All right, sorry about that. We are good. Well, hopefully we're good. I know I killed whatever audience I had by running off like that, but it does save me having to do that break earlier in. It does save me having to do that break earlier in the or later on in the broadcast. So let's figure this out again. So the true source of the coral's growth is unknown. Contrary to common belief, it doesn't usually appear in flooded regions. The unique influence of the coral mutates trees into distinctive strands that offer various resources. So 14 reputation or 14 impatience to finish for average amount of fertile soil, and our rewards will be 70 food, 14 machinery, 3 steel fragments, and 140 experience. So a punishing severity, but it doesn't really say what the effects are. So additional effects: ruins. This region was settled very frequently in the past. The chance of finding ruins in glades is much higher. Diverse flora. Vegetation here mutates into unique strands. Each type of tree provides distinct bonus resources. Inspiring pressure. The forest is as scary as it is beautiful. Villagers have a 3% chance of earning bonus yields from production and gathering for each hostility level. Okay, so these are all generally positive. So I did say that one of the reasons why I wanted to take the time to get something to write notes on is I want to get an idea in terms of what realistically I can expect from the forest. So under trees, what's going on here? So we've got wood, fiber, meats, crystallized dew, yeah. Stone and incense. Now, I guess the thing here is that it doesn't really tell us exactly so we don't know what the distribution of this is. I'm going to assume that the primary output is still wood, but it's nice to know, especially in terms of food, it's nice to know that we've got something of a pattern coming, or not pattern, but we've got something of a relief coming from that. Now, in terms of natural resources, and again, we don't have a distribution. We've got reeds, we've got stone, vegetables, meat, insects, herbs, and coal. Okay. So, I can go for... So the lizard people... There's a small benefit to the lizards in the sense that, like, I have more people to work tiles right away, and I've generally gravitated towards that. The catch is that I don't know what the other two races are going to be, whereas I know that I can lock in beavers at the start when we embark. Now, in terms of stuff that I get, it's the same amount in terms of meat, in terms of mushrooms. Is it mushrooms or fungus? Okay, mushroom. So that's equal to berries, same amount of stone, leather instead of pots. So I'm slightly inclined towards going for the lizards. And then I suppose the remaining question is, what do I want to commit my remaining... Oh, I've got 6. Oops. So we can't count on having eggs for the long run. So I've got 3 more to pick. I could get an early start with the wood. Alternatively, I could take some early stone and and then we can go for roots or vegetables. I think I'm going to go for vegetables just because that's something that we know we're going to be able to rely on in future. Okay. So we are ready to see what the world gives me. And looks like we wound up with beavers and harpies, which is nice. Okay, so the forest mysteries. We have got marrow growth. Forest mystery simple. Small pockets of bone marrow form in the ground and on trees. Gain 5 sea marrow for every 5 coal produced during the drizzle season. We have looming darkness. The rampaging storm stifles the spirit of all living creatures. An additional stack of this effect is added for each hostility level. -4 to global resolve. Creeping shadows. Discovering a glade during the storm will decrease global resolve by -10 for 3 minutes. So I think we've had that one before and we were able to manage that. Vanishing water. Infused rainwater slowly evaporates. You lose 1 unit of a random type of water for every 2 units of water used in rain engines. And that's only active during the storm. Blight rot infection. Villagers report feeling sick, especially during the storm. When a villager dies or leaves, 2 blight rot cysts will appear in the settlement. And spreading contamination. Blight rot contaminates everything you send to the citadel during the storm. The queen's impatience grows 5% faster for every blight rot cyst in your settlement. Okay, so these last 2 sort of wind up really accelerating each other. It's one that I'm going to want to keep a careful eye on. But I think we can manage most of what we're up against here. So, there is one other thing I wanted to do in the menu. I think we've already got our settings where we want them, but... Yep. Okay, so... We're short on beavers at the start, but I can live with that. I think I usually start with a pair of... what are these? Reeds? Right. I usually start with woodcutter camps. So one thing I normally like to do is just clear out the whole area for the housing, but it looks like we've got a pretty decent little clearing. Like, it's not obvious that we want to go one direction over another. Might even just put the woodcutters camp in like the dead center so that we can... It doesn't quite get us where we want, so it might be better for us to just sneak it in there. Okay, I think I can live with those. Okay, so the immediate resources that I have, so if we use a small trapper's camp and a harvester's camp, we can collect the resources immediately available to us as well. Now, that doesn't have to be anywhere special. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put that immediately behind the... Well, not immediately behind, but... Oh, I should have hit shift. Okay, so we harvest, and again, it doesn't really matter where it goes, just so long as we collect what we need. In fact, this was the trapper's camp. Yeah. Okay, so that doesn't work. I was wondering if I could just maybe sneak the two camps near each other, but that's fine. That'll still work for me. So the last thing we need to sort out are houses. I think my main focus is going to be to clear out the... We don't actually okay, hang on. So I was going to say, I was going to focus on this side, but there's actually a number of Forbidden Glades, so these would be better to start off with. Okay, so here I'm going to be a little more careful about unlocking scary regions. And then the exception's going to be for this area here. Okay, so that's something resembling a start. So with the idea that I'm going to be expanding out to this area right away, that's going to have an effect on my housing. So we've got a total of 8, 9, 13 people. I think it's 3 per shelter. Yeah. Tricky. It's not pretty, but it'll do the trick for now. I'm also gonna have to redo the roads at some point, but saying the woodcutter camps are a slightly higher priority. The rest just sort of falls where they may. Last things that I should just double check, and again, I know I'm taking my time at the start, but oh, actually, okay, we don't have the cloth for the lizard. Okay, that actually gives me an idea too. So I should be thinking a little bit about how I'm going to wind up with things like cloth. I suppose one other option I have is to try and build a rain collector right now, but maybe we'll just leave that. We'll leave that for now and see where we're standing in terms of overall labor when the time comes. This is one that the lizards will like to work on. Start with the beaver there. So I put the beaver to work on the on this side just because this is going to be our priority in terms of clearing out the wood. And in this case, this is just really about getting established. Now we've currently got 4 workers working as laborers. That's acceptable, but ideally, The Queen's Envoy. No one can weather the storm alone. The Queen offers you a cornerstone that will lay the foundation for your town's prosperity. Choose wisely, as you won't be able to change it. So we can get peasant supplies, receive 3 packs of provisions for every new villager. We've got Stormwalker training. Your villagers will learn how to travel the wilderness from the very best, the Royal Stormwalkers. All trade routes are faster by 40%. We've got well-rested workers, just the right amount. Villagers with the leisure need fulfilled have a 20% chance of doubling their yields. I think I'm going to go for peasant supplies. It is interesting to decline for an amber bonus, but I do want to see if I can make better use of trading in future. And I do apologize for that early break that I took. That did seem to have an adverse effect on the broadcast in terms of overall interest. So, but it is what it is. Okay. Is there an advantage to me choosing orders now? We haven't committed to building anything yet. Or no, actually there is, because we might, it might be about opening, about like certain objectives. Okay. So geyser pump used to extract, okay, or Harpy's Resolve. Keep the Harpy's Resolve above 10 for 30 seconds. That'll get us 2 new Harpies. Well, both of them will get me new arrivals. I think I'm going to go for the flock. We won't be able to achieve that right away. Oh, that's a shame. 4 glades is pretty straightforward. Complete any 2 glade events, and trading post traders from the Smoldering City can station here and offer their wares. I almost always pick this one anyway, but this gets me the newcomers, so I'm going to settle for Problem Solver. So in order to keep the Harpies happy, we can actually almost do this with favoring. In fact, I suspect if we can just get those houses built, we're laughing. I'm going to keep an eye on this. We want to be careful about the hostility, but I think the way it looks like it is that if I can house the Harpies, we can probably just favor them before the storm, and then that should translate into an early win for us. Suppose there's a small argument saying that I didn't need the harvesting. I didn't need like the reeds to be harvested right away, so I should have built the housing first, but I don't see that as being as substantial. Okay, so we're gonna favor them. We're moving into clearance next. So the best option here is for me to maintain the 30 resolve for the 30 seconds, but I also want to get the option to remove the favor in time for the the storm. In fact, we should prepare for new arrivals. Okay, so we'll turn that in. Again, I'm holding off on the new buildings just because it's not clear what objectives we need to fulfill. There's obviously the argument, hey, just keep your people happy and they'll, you know, and that's going to give you the ticking favor. I don't even disagree with that. But at the moment, I'm going to keep my options open. So, jerky, biscuits. Jerky, biscuits, and clothing are the three big priorities. There's also an argument for pie. So actually the lizards and the harpies are both pretty low maintenance. Since I've been live for 44 minutes already, it definitely doesn't feel like it. I feel like I just started, but that's what I get for being long-winded. I will try and work on that in the future. Okay, so we've got... Again, I'm just trying to get a read on exactly what some of these different status effects are providing. Yeah, so the three, like, non-forbidden ones should already give me the results that I'm looking for. The coral forest looks very pretty, by the way. I feel like they've... I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit more green than the last time I was here. But it could also be because of the variety that the bonus gives me, so... Yeah, I don't know if we'll find any glade events, but I think we should at least be able to satisfy exploration by jumping through all of these. And I can't see the rainstorm causing us too many problems. Although, what I am going to do... I am going to avoid going into glades. So I'm okay with everybody sort of chopping their way up to, but not into. Alright, now that's going to be a problem. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to play chicken with the harpies for a little bit. I'm going to need to favor them for a bit, but I don't want to accelerate the departure of the lizards. So I think now we hit the button. And then essentially once these numbers start going into the red, we hold off the favor. So once the daylight comes back, we should get everybody back to green. Newcomers. Okay, so I think we'll add the beavers so that we can get some better productivity in terms of the lumber mill or the wood extraction, wood chopping. Sorry. And we've got protected trade. The forest recedes as heavily guarded trade caravans pour into the settlement. Hostility is reduced 15 points every time you sell goods worth 30 amber. That's tempting. Bone Tools is very grim, but I actually think is a nice little safety valve if things start going against me. The settlement is known as a trading hub in the region. Gain 1 reputation point every time you sell goods worth 60 amber, while slowing the reputation gain from resolve by 50%. Yeah, I think we're going to go for Bone Tools here. Okay, we can send this to the Citadel with tools. How many tools do I have? None? Cool. So that's going to be the first thing I think about in terms of getting access to. I think we also have some... Oh, no. We have enough housing for everybody. I'm a little surprised by that, but... I'm a little curious how the game handles it. Okay, yeah, it's telling me that I don't have the... So the one drawback here is that we didn't really get anything but space out of that glade. What I've been hoping for is to get a better idea in terms of the resources we're going to be able to work with, and unfortunately right now it's all coming up short. So one important implication of that is our... Well, actually there's one thing I can get. I think I can put the trading post down now without that getting in the way. Burn blight rot cysts, burn at least 10, or use any rainwater. Use 120 units of rainwater, any type, in rain engines in production buildings. I think we can... That's one we have under our control. So, clothing the people, fulfill the need for clothing 30 times, or aid for the lizard clan, deliver 8 packs of provisions. Now, we automatically do that. This is one nice detail, is that so as we continue to add villagers, we actually get more provisions packs. So I think we're going to settle that one because we can deliver that right away. Yeah, we can put down the trading post. Oh, and we have 2 people without homes, so I'm going to need to work on that too. Happy to see a glade. Okay, so one of the things I want to do here is just realign the shelters. And we have a trader. All right. So I don't think, unless I can make something of the tool. So the thing is, I do want to buy as many tools as I can. The catch is I don't really have a lot of high value items to trade for them. So I've got some bricks, but I'm going to want to make something out of those. Wildfire Essence is sort of giving up the... Well... So if I just wanted 6... You know what? I'm going to resist the urge to do that trade. These guys don't have anything to really do right now, so I suppose I can just move this off to a spot where it's out of the way. Maybe we'll move it over here. So I could use parts instead, and that'll get me a geological survey. After carefully studying the strange piece of machinery, we can use it to our advantage. Spawns 2 to 3 coal deposits nearby, or we can get a box of crystallized dew and oil in exchange for stone. We don't need to work on that right away. Now I think, given the way the lumber mill's working, it's like there's a little bit of tidying up to do in the immediate area here, but I don't think we are on our way to uncovering any more glades. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these guys over to the side here. That'll put us on path to fulfilling our objective. And I suppose when it comes down to it, what was it they wanted? Trapper's camp? Well, we're already kind of satisfying the trapper's camp with... Oh, that's a woodcutter's camp. Yeah, so I think we'll just wind up... Well, okay, the thing is that right now I have a lot of idle workers, so we probably should put down a second trapper's camp and then just demolish it when the time comes. In fact, we can do that with this one. So we'll take a forager's camp, we'll put that up here. What else will do? And then I figure we can put down another trapper's camp for these insects over here, because we currently have 11 people running around doing nothing. And I think we're just gonna clear out that glade before something bad happens to us. So I think we're in danger of... Oh, I didn't build the housing. Drat. That's gonna come back to bite me. Already too late. So again, this is mostly about taking advantage of the sort of the surplus workers right now. Now I should be making a decision in terms of where I want my expansion to go next. So if I want to go for the cheaper glades, we've got this as an option. Otherwise, I can start going for some dangerous ones. Probably the dangerous is where I want to be heading. So we are going to move the camp a bit. So oddly enough, this was supposed to be the housing area, but it actually turns out that I need to play favorites with the harpies again, I think. All right. 2 days, but reasonable enough progress on our goals, but I feel like I should be putting, probably be putting a little bit more into this. So we've got a surprise child, gain 1 lizard for every 25 eggs produced. I don't believe our current environment produces eggs. Yeah, so let's not worry too much about that. Local taxes, villagers are willing to give you their very last piece of amber just for a pint of decent ale. Gain 20 amber for every 100 ale produced, and root delivery line 3 roots per minute. I think the roots per minute are helpful. It's not exactly it's not something that people really want, but it is going to be something that allows me to sort of fend off starvation. Okay, so we're going to take just a second here to see what's going on in the scenario. So there's a little bit of cleanup I can do in terms of my road network. Okay. I would like to build some specialized buildings before too long, but I've just been trying to prioritize. So the biggest drawback right now is that I've sort of let the scenario run away with me in terms of like, so this has just been sitting idle because I didn't assign workers, and you can see that basically I've got all of these people who are eating things. They're not actually doing anything for me right now. And that's a failing on my part. So I got to think of a productive way to put them to use. Let's start by... It's probably longer than just doing a straight walk, but... Okay, it's a start. So we've got we've secured a source of meat. Oh, that's 2 camps that were not being worked because I didn't assign people. Okay, so next priority. Clear as much of this as we can. And once we get our fourth glade, I think that's the time I consider maybe one of these dangerous glades. But the promise I need to make to myself is that in the interim, I need to think about how I'm going to pick my buildings. So one priority would be to focus on tool production. The thing is, normally at this point I have a better idea in terms of my upcoming goals. So we've got 4 minutes. What do we have here? So no, I think in this case we're gonna make some choices. So you know what I should have done first? So tools have sort of been my... That can't be right. So remember, tools were pretty complicated to make. I think there's like a blacksmith, if I recall. Clearly not. Oh, here we go, carpenter. Okay. So, carpenter is actually not the most efficient for tools, though. Tool shop and finesmith are the best. So I'll start with the ideal. So tool shop requires fabric and planks. So the tool itself requires wood or planks. And either copper bars or crystallized dew. I'm just going to take a quick look at the number for the finesmith. Yeah, that's the same. So the other thing I want to take a look at now is, so I'm trying to get an idea in terms of the extremes, in terms of what's going to be expected of me in terms of producing these. So the tool shop and this finesmith is going to have sort of the smallest cost in terms of producing the good. But now the question I have is, so what happens if I'm down to, let's say, a scribe? What kind of costs am I looking at in order to produce those? Because the ideal here would be that I do things as efficiently as I can, but I don't necessarily get to pick, like, I don't get a choice sometimes in terms of what my draws are. So yeah, in this case here, it's 10 or 3. And 4. Okay, now a crystallized dew can come from a brickyard or a forester's hut. Uses nearby farm fields. Okay, so that's not that useful to me. Crap. Alchemist huts or brickyard. Brickyard it is. Rouge Light Girl, how are you doing? I'm really happy to see you. I think you'll notice it's a little quiet here today. I had a few more people at the start, and then I went to get my notepad to do this stuff here, so I'm feeling like a bit of a goof. Glad to see you, though. Okay, so realistically, vegetables and insects are going to be what I get here. This is a pretty good, like, if you like City Builder, like, it's a City Builder roguelike, so if you like either one of those things, it's quite good in that regard. We can get stone from the trees and stone from natural resources. Okay. And essentially any kind of water. So, okay. So I'm thinking, something in brickyard, lumber mill, where were we? Let me just see the lumber mill. We technically don't need the lumber mill, but it's a lot more efficient for producing the tools, and tools are not the only thing that I want. I guess for fabric we would want the weaver. So it's the reed stone. The reeds and the stone come from the environment, so I'm feeling reasonably comfortable about that. And then I guess the last question would be about the copper bars if we decided to go down that path, and I really don't want to. Do we even have the beanery? I don't think we do. Yeah, so realistically, I just need to rely on the crystallized, or not just the crystallized dew, but okay. Cooperage should tell me where I can get copper bars. Sure, smelter is fine. That doesn't have to be flawless. Okay, so the copper ore comes in. Now this here. Okay, so here's the trick. We don't actually have copper ore as a natural resource. So yes, we are relying on crystallized dew. Okay, so that took us a little while to get there, but this is giving me some really clear. This is giving me some really clear ideas in terms of how we're going to progress. So, lumber mill. Oh, actually, yeah, this is a tough one. So the lumber mill or the brickyard. Now it seems to me like the brickyard is what gets me. It gets me both bricks and crystallized dew. So I'm going to prioritize this one first. The forester's hut now is... Damn it. I can see myself picking the bathhouse for the harpies. It's going to expect tea, and tea will come from... Let's see the cooperage, just for the sake of the argument. That's going to need herbs, which I don't have. But I am going to I'm going to be getting a small shipment of roots. So that might work. That's also going to want the crystallized dew. So I'm not crazy about the demands on my specialized resources, but we can work with this. So yes, we will take the bathhouse instead of re-rolling. Definitely taking the lumber mill. As nice as the apothecary is... Oh, man. Nope, gotta go for the lumber mill. Okay, so we got rewarded with a tool shop. I don't believe I have the weaver yet. Okay, now that was a pretty good round of draws for us. That essentially got me all the infrastructure that I wanted. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a complication because right now, all of these buildings are, like, all of this is for my, like, my main people. But we can reorganize things. Yeah, so unfortunately we got to start with the crude workstation no matter what, because we need... So I think our best bet here We start with a crude workstation so that we can make a weaver. The weaver gives me the fabric that I need for a lumber mill, and the lumber mill produces the wood required for the brickyard. New arrivals. Okay, I definitely want a beaver, but we've got... It's like everybody's sort of evened out in terms of the... So these guys bring tools. These guys bring insect... Or they actually bring the fabric that I needed. Okay, so normally I would have taken this for the tool. Nah, you know what? We're making the fabric. But I do believe they are going to need proper housing. Complainers that they are. My road network could be better because we've got this gap here. These slackers haven't opened opened up the path here yet. So again, there's a very specific set of things that I'm trying to do here. All right. So the first thing that I want to do is build the lumber mill. So that means I want a limit of... I'll put 2. This is basically so that we can build the lumber mill here. Should probably also think about building a... That's a top priority. I should probably think about the blight post. This is going to be where most of my industry is. Well, yeah, that'll have to do. I'm going to wind up messing around with the housing anyway, so I'm not too fussed about it. Okay. And we've unlocked a new area. So, harpies and lizards both like this equally. Maybe give them 5 for purging fire for now. We have a lot of wood. Do we even have a count for that? But I don't think we need that much, so... Okay, now we can... This is farmland and a reed field. Okay, so the reed field has its own uses. It's getting a little crowded in here, unfortunately, but... Okay, so we can get an herb garden for roots and herbs. We can go to the small farm for vegetables. Druid hunt will give us oil, incense, and coats. Or the forester's hut if I feel like resin and crystallized dew. Now there is a very... You know what? I've never really used this. But I'm going to give this a try. It does potentially mean that I am hurting myself in terms of my ability to produce food. So I want to be mindful of that. But I think I still have options. Okay. I'm going to wait until we've actually cleared out the area. There's no reason for me to put that in a suboptimal location just because we've... Okay, so I'm happy to say, looks like we've got the fabric we needed, and we're continuing to produce it, so let's just... Oh, actually, hang on. So we also need to work out some kind of rainwater collection, but I'll take care of that when I can. Okay, so beavers... I kind of still want them on forestry business. Okay, new orders. Deliver 40 ale and a tavern, or complete 2 events by making the decision empathy. And Brotherhood, so a temple. Let's complete the Dangerous Glade events. We're going to do that already. Okay, I'm going to move these guys. This is kind of a because I can. Like right now, they're not really doing that much with it. We got to get people working on this. Ideally, we'll get some more beavers when the time comes, but for now, I am happy to. Okay, so I guess now I need to worry about rain collection. So some of these are invariant for me. Others are going to be moved around. How are we for tools? 2. Okay, so what I also want to start thinking about now is specialized housing. Okay, Zorg's arrived. I don't think we're ready to trade anything with him quite yet. So we can first of all satisfy the beavers with beaver housing. And the next thing I want to worry about is a weaver. But that's going to require the... So first of all, Forester's Hut. That's going to be a low priority building, but... Alright, I really didn't want to step on the coal, but I don't see how I can... Well, nope, there is actually a way. I may not be able to fit the whole thing, but there's clearly something that I want to clear out with the lumber mill or the woodcutter's camp. So I'm gonna hold my horses. Okay, we don't have anybody working on. We don't have anybody working on clearing glades. So actually one thing I am going to do is build another where is it? Another woodcutter's camp for this area. Works a little bit better. Okay, so I may not be able to do the same fancy footwork I did last time, but I'm hoping that the positive attitude from before will help us out. Again, the aim here is mostly just clearing out territory for us so that we can make the most of the glades. There's no sort of special grand design behind a lot of this. This was for the harvester's camp. I think I'm screwed with the harpies already. Yeah, that's just at its equilibrium of -2. So I think I probably just ruined things for two of my groups. Okay, so we lost a rain collector on that. We need to find a replacement. Good news is we probably won't lose any more lizards. But this is sort of the catch of me dragging my feet for a bit. Okay, the Queen's Envoy. No one can weather the storm alone. The Queen offers you a cornerstone that will lay the foundation of your town's prosperity. Choose wisely, as you won't be able to change it. You can do economic migration. Rumor has it that your settlement is one of the wealthiest in the realm. Newcomers will arrive 15% quicker and bring 10% more goods for every one level of standing you have with other settlements on trade routes. So we haven't really been doing trade routes. Ancient Pack, the cost of knowledge can be very high. You can see the content of undiscovered glades, but discovering dangerous or forbidden glades will kill one villager. So that will get me tools, but I don't know, I don't feel good about losing villagers like that. Then we have Safe Haven. Hostility is reduced by 40 for every hearth upgraded to neighborhood, level 2 or higher. I'm going to re-roll these because I don't know if that's like a once-off. Crowded houses. All houses have room for one more villager, frequent caravans, or trade hub. So yeah, we'll go for crowded houses. Okay. So get a total of 5 people or a focus of beavers. I think I'm going to go for more bodies. But I am going to make sure that we've got the right people working on forestry. Well, for the most part. So we're one short on tools, but we'll be there in a minute. So I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to move this woodcutter's camp a bit deeper in so that we can, well, I want to go crazy about it, but okay, so the trapper's camp is still doing something useful. So a lot of this is just waiting for the space to build the rest of my industry here. I don't exactly want to throw away the coal deposits, but I may have to depending on what gets in the way. Although maybe with this setup, yeah, okay, so we can start putting some industry in the edge here. And I mean, if I have to give up a little something on the edge here, it's not the end of the world. But I think we are overdue for the weaver, so yeah, put a little. Yeah, that winds up working. I don't know why that wasn't picked before, but hopefully they will chop it down pretty quick. And the main idea here is I just wanted to get some industry up and running before I start going after some of these tougher, forbidden and dangerous glades. A large part of that is going to be because I'm going to have to rely on. So there's got to be a timing thing, right? Like I can't open those things up when the storm's in full force. Okay. So if I don't improve the mood of the population, I think we need to prepare for another exodus. Ah, okay, they're going to do something rather regrettable in a minute. So let's actually just cut them all out of that. So you'll notice there wasn't anything marked, so they just sort of automatically started chopping down whatever they could. So in this case, I want them to clear out as much as we can in this little area here. Okay, foragers camp. There's no real vegetables for them to work with, so we'll just free up those workers. Got a new order. So they want us to use drizzle water or have at least 20 harmony decorations. So I'd love to do the drizzle water, but I don't actually know what... hey, Raybeam, how you doing? Quite different from Outlast. Although, assuming that I can work out the schedule, I don't know if you've seen me play Book of Hours, but that's going to become a feature of the stream for a while. I really, really liked playing Outlast, so I think one thing I might do is I want to try and do an insane achievement on Outlast, and I want to do Whistleblower too. Anyways, good to see you. So yeah, I think we're going to go for the harmony decorations. They'll cost a lot, but there's something that I can achieve. And I think this is going to be the last round before we start going into the Forbidden Glades. Let's also try and improve the scenery. So they want 4 comfort for decorations. Counts as 4 decorations of that type. Okay. Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about where the herbs were going to come from. Okay, that's gonna cause me a little bit of heartache, but yeah, no, I don't take attendance. And like the thing is, I know you stopped by for Outlast, and my main thing is usually like strategy games, so it is a little unusual to you know, sign up for one thing and then sort of see another. Okay, so again, we're probably gonna wind up losing people off of this. The question is whether or not I'm going to be able to hold on to the harpies long enough. So I'm going to be playing with fire for a bit, but we're going to boost their number up. And then when the storm finishes, we're gonna drop the favoritism. Okay, there we go. So, another cornerstone. No one can weather the storm alone. The Queen offers you a cornerstone that will lay the foundation of your town's prosperity. Choose wisely, as you won't be able to change it. So leather gloves, +2 to reed production. Gain additional reed every yield from gathering, farming, or production. Secure trail. Newcomers will arrive 25% quicker. I think I'm going to go for leather gloves here. Okay, and then I also want to make some lizard homes. So we're at 13, so I need 5 of those. It's a little silly the way I wound up making them, but... The problem is I don't have anybody to actually pick those up, so... Or to make those, I mean. So... Oh, but we now have new arrivals. So probably I want to maximize the number of bodies coming in, although it doesn't hurt to have more... So this is a total of 4, I don't really need to be maximizing the number of beavers, but I am going to go for 1 more in terms of the variety. That's just to try and... Number 1, I want to try and improve the efficiency of the lumber mills where I can, or the collectors where I can. But the other advantage is going to be that that's more specialization that I can get in these other buildings. Now I've disabled the pipes in this water, or for the water usage here in the lumber mill. So one of the things I'm curious about is whether or not that's going to I'm curious if that's going to count towards the rainwater in engines. Oh, well, no, it says rainwater in engines. Okay, so I do actually have to have that enabled. Okay. I also need to find a better place for this forager's camp, but I'll worry about that later. Good news is I'll be able to start demolishing some of this housing when the time comes. So we've got the tool shop, the brickyard, the weaver, the lumber mill. I don't really think... So we don't have the tea for the bathhouse, so that doesn't really count for anything. Yeah, other than the forester's hut, we're actually good. The question is where I'm going to get my next batch of reeds, and I don't remember that herb node being there before. But I'm happy it's there. Uh-oh. Okay, I wasn't planning on this. This is actually a big problem. But we will focus our attention to it now. Okay, so is there an event? Apparently not. I'm definitely happy to rebuild this. So the fuming machinery will give us a makeshift extractor, a curious piece of improvised technology. It extracts moisture from the soil around it and converts it into clearance water. Counts as 4 decorations of this type. Speaking of, I probably should have... Yeah, so I might as well... Ah, it requires tools. That's why that's not as good of an option. Yeah, so we'll tear that down. Okay, and then apparently we've got quite a few tools. Yeah, so we've got 17 tools, so that means that we can... Actually, sorry. If this is the threat, then we need all hands on deck there. Okay. We have assigned a whole lot of people to do a whole lot of things. But I think we're good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the guy out of the Blightrot post. Yeah, it is. So Roguelike City Builder is kind of the elevator pitch for this thing. The idea here, if this Queen's Impatience gets to the maximum amount, I lose. So what I'm trying to do right now is... Okay, if I want this broccoli patch, I'm going to need the larger Foragers Camp. We've already got a Harvester's Camp, so we've got the next target there. And if I want, I've got a better location for my... Well, actually, I'll just put down a second Forester's Hut. So yeah, right now I've actually got manpower problems, but yeah. So it's a really neat game. I think in the interests of self-preservation. Okay, Trapper's Camp has no deposit, so we will release the workers. Out of... I feel like that thing's gonna run out of targets soon. A lot of stuff that wants stormwater, which is not so good. Okay. That was the same track kind of camp as this one, so we'll get rid of them. Okay, so now I'm in a position to sort of... I can make more in terms of just sort of an industrial layout. Okay, I need to put another beaver camp down. Or beaver house, rather. We don't need to get clever about this. Okay. So I also want to see... So one of the things that's different from SimCity is that you're in... So actually, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but I was a little surprised to find out that this wasn't a game from Canada. And it's not because I have this weird sense of nationalism in terms of the games that I play, although that is 100% true as well. The best way I can describe this, I'm going to go... So I haven't been doing a good job of explaining the game, but I think I've got an idea in terms of how I can express why this is interesting to me specifically. And I'm going to rely on... I'm going to kind of rely on Wikipedia to help me out here. So this is the article on Canadian literature. I think what I'll do is I'll just read the summary here. It's like 2 paragraphs. It's sort of long one, but so Canadian literature is a literature of a multicultural country written in languages including Canadian English, Canadian French, Indigenous languages, and many others such as Canadian Gaelic. Influences on Canadian writers are both geographically and historically are broad, both geographically and historically, representing Canada's diversity in culture and region. Canadian literature is often divided into French and English language literatures, which are rooted in the literary traditions of France and Britain, respectively. The earliest Canadian narratives were of travel and exploration. This progressed into 3 major themes that can be found within historical Canadian literature: nature, frontier life, Canada's position within the world, all 3 of which tie into the garrison mentality, a condition shared by all colonial-era societies in their beginnings, but sometimes erroneously thought to apply mainly to Canada because a Canadian intellectual coined the term. In recent decades, Canada's literature has been strongly influenced by immigrants from around the world. Since the 1980s, Canada's ethnic and cultural diversity has been openly reflected in its literature, which by the 1990s was widely appreciated around the world. So, and I think Margaret Atwood of sort of Handmaid's Tale fame was sort of responsible for this idea in particular, but like this idea of Canadian literature being quite focused on sort of, you know, nature and existing in sort of the frontier and so on and so forth. A lot of this is really present in Against the Storm, right? So you're going out from the smoldering city. Another point of reference that I have for this is the Three Body Problem, which is a science fiction novel from China. It is actually being adapted into a Netflix miniseries. I found out. I just saw a trailer for it, which seemed interesting. Has a fairly big moment that it actually reveals in the trailer. I don't quite know what the deal was with that, but yeah, it's. If you haven't read it, then I don't think there's that much point in focusing too much on the details of that particular story. But yeah, I was really struck by this feeling of sort of setting out into the wilderness, founding your colony. There is really something interesting about this, do so before the queen's impatience gets too high. Like there is something kind of neat about that too. But yeah, definitely this idea of sort of the woods becoming increasingly unhappy at being civilized, and it's starting to sort of take its revenge in the form of these these negative effects that wind up hitting you. I think there's some really neat ideas present in this. I'm also curious. I think I'm going to try and sneak in some reputation bonuses for a little while. But yeah, like I said, I was a little surprised to find out it wasn't Canadian. But I'm perfectly happy to acknowledge that countries other than Canada are capable of making interesting games too. I was just so surprised because this whole idea of the frontier and such is a really big deal that comes up a lot whenever discussing Canadian literature. So essentially, what I'm trying to do right now is I've completed some Glade events, which is nice. I'm going to be able to move the reputation up. The main idea here is that the sort of colony has established its viability if I get to the reputation before the Queen's impatience goes up, gets to the maximum level. But the Queen's impatience goes up faster, sort of the more hostility and whatnot that there is. So in this case, I'm going to lock in the problem solver. So reduction of impatience by 1 by gaining reputation. Now, the big thing is right now, what has been true for my previous playthroughs is that usually taking care of the abandoned caches wind up helping me in terms of gaining my reputation. So what I did was I set up a pipeline to make sure that I was able to generate tools. Okay, we're out of clay, so I guess we need to focus on stone. So I don't want to make too much in terms of bricks. What are we looking at here? We've got 19. Let's cap that out at... Sorry, I just needed to make sure that I've prioritized everything properly. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with where this is. So essentially, with this, so I've taken care of the essentials for the kind of the colony now. What I need to worry about is where's the next batch of sort of reputation coming from? And one of the things that you can do is if you keep your population happy, you start getting this ticking amount of reputation. So both the lizards and the harpies have fairly low requirements in terms of their happiness right now. I've already been working on the tools, so I'm happy with that. So what I want to start thinking about now are what kind of luxuries can I give them to make them happy? So in this case, I'm looking for treatment, education, clothing, pies, biscuits, and jerky for the harpies, and then religion, brawling, pickled goods, pie, skewers, and jerky for the lizards. So there's going to be some requirements in terms of building up some of these things, but what I'm going to do now, because I've got my immediate needs, with maybe the possible exception of food, because those immediate needs are taken care of, what I want to start thinking about now is where I'm sort of satisfying the next batch of demands, let's say. Also, I really want to make sure that this disaster doesn't hit me. So we've got 6.5 minutes, but it's only going to take 121 to tear this down. So, and on that note, let's also make sure we use copper bars where we can. Okay, so we can get skewers from the grill. I'm not going to worry about the smelter because we don't have a source of copper. Cookhouse can produce skewers and biscuits slightly less efficiently than others. But yeah, I think the cookhouse is a good choice here. I don't think the cookhouse already did. Let me just double check. I've already forgotten what the cookhouse produced. Skewers and biscuits. Okay, so I can also get the jerky. So I also, it's a little tough here, right? Because I could actually get coats out of the clothier. That's no small thing. That's a good use of my fabric, in fact. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go for that instead. Especially because... Oh, no, I don't have... Okay. So I'm going to wait a little while before I build those. It's just because I want to get my roads sorted out. I'm going to slightly move the woodcutter's camp to somewhere a little more useful. Actually, we can afford to chop straight into there. Okay, I've got a beaver that I can assign to something, so let's make sure that they're chopping trees as efficiently as possible. Okay, and I think we're at a point now where we can put down the forester's hut. Not quite, actually. But this is the ideal spot for it when the time comes. Okay, and I think I'm ready to move this woodcutter's camp over here. Now, again, we want to make sure... Okay, the fuming machinery's been taken care of. So what I'm actually going to do here, I'm going to clear out all of these roads just so that we can have a little more organization. And we can think about what we want to try and achieve in this area. So this harvester's camp currently doesn't have anything going for it. We can fix that here. This furnace... Okay, so that's good for making pies. Now the pies will make both the harpies and the beavers. Oh, that's right. Do we have a storm coming up? Yes, we do. So I wanted to actually make the lizards and the beavers happy. I forgot about that. Okay. I sort of messed up here, but that's fine. What I'm going to do, first of all, I want to get another harpy house down. And for some reason I messed up the angle? I don't quite follow how this works. I've got 1, 2, 3... Oh, right. Because there's the road down here. Well, we'll work that out later. So I'm actually going to remove the beavers from this particular logging camp for now. We'll send them here. We'll get some lizards working the blight post. So the reason is I don't want these guys breaking into any glades while the storm's happening. They can get close, but they can't actually go in. Okay. Now, I thought we were supposed to get like a decoration. Okay, last orders. Deliver 15 tools and packs of building material. This is the... So, yeah, these are the big catches. I don't actually have a way of producing building materials right now, but we can work on it. And finally, these might... This is more likely than ale. So these last two are going to be pretty tough. And everybody's sad. So we have a few blight rot cysts that we got to deal with. This is just going to be kind of a miserable little round, but oh, right, there's a reason why we had a path there. So what I'm going to do, we're going to play chicken with the discontent again. But what we do get to do is tomorrow we get to start opening up some glades again. So we're specifically looking to do the dangerous glade events. So this one is a nice to have, but it's not critical. Okay, so we're gonna favor the harpies now. So this will turn... These people will eventually start to leave as well, but the idea is we remove the favoring in time for the storm to finish. Okay. So let's figure out what we're going to do. Queen's Envoy, no one can weather the storm alone. The Queen offers you a cornerstone that will lay the foundation for your town's prosperity. Choose wisely, you won't be able to change it. So we can add another room for villager. Urban planning for every 10 completed trade routes. Nope, that doesn't work. So yeah, we're going to do another crowded houses, which I think means I don't actually need to worry about building any more housing for a while. Okay. So we gotta get ready for some bad stuff happening, but we're gonna... There we go. And I'm going to take... first of all, this gives me more bodies overall, but it especially gives me harpies, which I want right now. We've already got a surplus of the lizard people. And no homelessness, so things are mostly looking up. This will be interesting from a... Oh, this is good. We've got a forager's camp already built. Okay, so the challenge is the Totem of Denial, a religious structure built by the Fishmen. It interferes with the hearth in the center of the settlement. So in 13 minutes, Fishmen rituals, heavy clouds are gathering around the sacrifice totem. The storm's duration is increased by 100%, while drizzle and clearance seasons are decreased by 50%. That sucks. And 1 impatience point. So it takes 430, so we can burn it down with oil, or we could perform a ritual. This would require, well, we've got incense that we can apply for it. This would be the Ritual of Denial. Fishmen hate fire and will do anything in their power to extinguish every last flame in the world. Blocks the ability to sacrifice goods in the hearth by performing the ritual, which is a corruption. This would give us a harmony item. Didn't I have an order or something? Yeah, so I need 20 harmony decorations. Oh. I can actually I can complete this now. The question is it a wise decision? Yeah, screw it. Okay. No, we get tea out of this, so it sucks that I need to use the planks for this, but we're burning it down. And nobody's got a forest specialization, sadly, so... Okay, in the meantime, we've got a medium abandoned cache. That's going to get me another 75 for the Citadel, so we'll add that as well. And the last question is, with this forager's camp... now that, I believe, with a large forager's camp, that will actually allow me to use these large broccoli patches. So this seems like a really good one to rebuild. Okay, in the meantime, I also need to start thinking about building some amenities. Oh, that's right. I was going to do the forester's hut, so... Sadly, this furnace can't be moved. Actually, I probably wasted resources making this, if I'm completely honest. We'll keep it around just in case, but I don't think it's going to do anything too helpful for me. Let's take the forester's hut. Okay, that'll do the trick. I'm going to do something a little unusual here. I'm actually going to map a path around the... So the reason I'm doing this is just to give me an idea of the limits of the settlement. Because it's following a particular pattern, if I need to build something in these areas, I know I can get around it. But this is just going to help me kind of get an idea of the borders of the hearth. Okay. Yeah, it's a little wonky on the edge here, but I can live with that. Okay, so I need to find another 4 decorations. I can certainly cram 4 decorations in there. Gardens for everyone. Alright, in the meantime, let's get people... We can improve the roads later. For now, look at him go on that. Forester's hut has no farm fields nearby. Well, we can fix that. Holy crap. So what are all the beavers up to? I'm going to say I'll include resin for now, but we may want to focus on crystallized dew moving forward. Okay, so I think I said I was going to make the cookhouse next. Tidy up the edges a little bit here. In fact, we can take all this out. This is all kind of a wish list rather than a like an explicit hope that I I'd be able to get in all these areas. I am looking to finish Dangerous Glade events, but... Okay, so we can remove you from the small foragers camp and just get you to do the large one. And in fact, given the way that's gonna work, I think we'll just demolish this straight up. Okay, the herbalist camp. I'm just gonna set it aside. We may want to use that in the future. This is another abandoned cache, so we'll set our workers to go on that right away. And in fact, I've already found a use for the herbalist camp. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? We're gonna play favorites with the lizards so that we can get a little extra resolution. Okay, an apothecary will produce tea. We can get a temple for religion. I think the herb garden is the better choice here, because I don't actually have... I don't have a place to generate herbs yet. Oh man. So I think it wants me to kill the coal. That's fine. I'll get over it. Okay, so we can clean up the streets a little bit here. It's a less direct route for everybody moving, so I may want to reconsider a few of these. Okay, so I think we will double both roots and herbs here, but excuse me. And this collector can really go anywhere. It's not... Well, okay, it's actually currently stuck in in place, so I guess it can't go anywhere. But maybe we'll see if we can do something about that cookhouse. Yeah, man, I really know how to place all this, don't I? Okay. That'll do. Can't really put decorations in there without another hearth, but... And then... So I had the cookhouse, but I feel like there was another thing I was going to be building. Yes, the clothier. I don't think we've built one of those yet. And that just happens to fit in here rather nicely. So, with the lizards at 15 in terms of their happiness, that's going to get me a very slow ticking reputation. Now, I do want to consider dropping the favoritism for a bit, because that's going to buy me some time with the harpies in the upcoming storm. That will be important. Okay. So I don't have... Oh man, I really messed up with a furnace if the... Oh no, this was for pies, not biscuits. Okay. Yeah, we're not actually making enough of a number of these things. That should be a very big worry. Okay, I think we stop favoriting the lizards for a bit. I think this is going to be a hard storm. I don't actually know where the garden's gonna go there yet, so. Yeah, look at that beautiful -13 for the Harpies. There's no way we're walking away with. Okay, so I think we need to start hammering away at some dangerous glades. Like we're not in bad shape, but we're not really making progress at the rate that I would want to see. Oh, crap. I totally forgot to... Or no, actually they just cut through on their own. Okay, that's unfortunate, but we're going to have to learn to live with that now. That just tanked global resolve. We're going to lose a lot of people off of this. But that's the state of the world now, so let's learn to live with it. So, the question is, what is the event? Ancient Shrine. Disturbing the ruins of the Great Civilization can have grave consequences. Kills 5 random villagers. We can excavate it. Okay, yeah, that's for the crown. We've got more than enough tools, so we're gonna assign workers to that immediately. So we've already got a brickyard, so we're gonna salvage that. The alchemist's hut, I believe, gives us tea. And the herbalist's camp, I already have a large one, but I'm not opposed to getting another one of these. So we'll see what we have left over when all is said and done. Oh, hang on. I do actually need... I do need a path to the... Okay, so a builder's left, so I need to get someone out of one of the buildings. Literally anyone will do. Oh god, okay. This is all falling, going off the rails now. I'm just gonna let this, play out. You've managed to enlist some excellent hunters. Meat production increases 1 every 25 times it's produced. Surprise Child, Force of Nature, the Forest, and the Everlasting Rain are connected somehow. Gain +3 to stormwater production for every 2 woodcutters in your settlement. Increase your yeah, we're gonna get the extra water. So we have a source of vegetables. I think we need to find sources of meat next. So we may not lose the beavers. Oh, come on, don't do this to... Good. This gives us food. Okay, so we've got beaver homelessness. Let's deal with that. And the next thing I want to look at, so realistically... Okay, so we got a few... I want to start working on the replacements now. So we've got... beaver for you here. We're not ready for the cookhouse. The harvester's camp could actually be anyone. I don't keep forgetting, I just keep not using the Alt key, which lets you see what the employment is like. Okay, I don't think the Trapper's Camp has anything. So yeah, I think our answer now, we need to just go, we need to like blitz as many locations as we can to find food. We'll get them some help in a minute. We've got more fabric than we need, so... Okay, and they are good at working with cloth, so let's just... I think the problem with that is that doesn't give me any builders anymore. So, what building am I willing to... $238 as opposed to the brickyard, which does this inefficiently. So let's kill the crystallized dew. We gotta be getting low on stone. 84, okay, it's not so bad. So now I need more harpies. Okay, we don't need 3 bodies in the blight post. And beavers are better engineers anyway. Well. How are we for crystallized dew, out of curiosity? Yeah, we've got more than we know what to do with. In fact... say that that's a higher priority overall. With that in mind, okay, we're actually just going to build a slow, we're going to have a slow build towards that. Okay, finally. Oop. There we go. And all that's going to get upset by the loss of of one of these harpies, but them's the breaks. Sadly, there's nothing I can really do about this. This is just going to be a drain on people until the curse. I don't even know if it'll say when it stops. Yeah, creeping shadows resolve effect. I wish it would kind of give me a timer in terms of how long I was affected by that, but oh, we've completed 3 dangerous glade events. What can we do for food? The rain mill will allow me to produce flour. I got something I can get out of that, actually. I can do dedicated roots, which can be turned into flour. Okay. So I do rather wish that the vegetables were being collected a little bit more quickly. What have we got here? Next clearance in a minute 3. So I think at this point, let's start going hard on some glade. Looks like we're already doing that, actually, but they're sort of clearing. I like this because it's going to clear out a path, so I can live with that. These guys aren't doing anything useful, so this is a forbidden glade. This could be very ugly, but I think we need to start making the magic happen in terms of getting food sources. So I'm okay with these guys clearing out all of this for now. And yeah, these guys should be getting me some more glades. So I don't feel like great about it, but oh yes, and they wanted me to build. It wasn't just 4 harmony; it was 20. So let's get working on that now. So I need at least 1 service building. So I suppose now is the time for the bathhouse, even if I don't actually use it. Oh man, that fits nice and snug. Okay, so I'm not exactly going to show a lot of imagination. I'm just going to put a couple more parks down. Now, there's no rule saying this has to go out here, right? Spacing doesn't necessarily make sense. Oh man, they want 20 of those, huh? All right. Okay, everybody's moods are back. So let's favor the lizards for that creeping loyalty. Oh, sorry, it's got some dramatic music and sort of undersea vibe. Yeah, it's well, this is called the Coral Forest, so that sort of explains kind of the current situation. But I agree. Okay, so let's get, where we can, let's get harpies working in the appropriate jobs. Again, I gotta be thinking about food long term. Of course, we only get access to food by... We only get access to food by opening up new areas, so... I think we just learned to live with what we got right now. So maybe we'll wait until a trader comes in and then we'll order up a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I had big plans in terms of things like the jerky and the pies and all of that, but it just I couldn't really deliver on it. Okay, what have we got here? So, a noxious machinery, a damaged and abandoned rain punk contraption. The area was probably deserted because of a significant explosion risk. The machine's valves emit a distinct blight rot odor. Okay, so we're going to need to build more purging fire to make that happen. So, yeah, the cleanse is pretty much a must. I think I'm more willing to give up the reeds here. Okay, in the meantime, we've got a workshop, which gives us planks, fabric, bricks, and pipe. No, we salvage that. The artisan... I can't really see myself needing it, but I don't see a need to work with it either. The Trapper's Camp is going to get us access to the... it's going to get us access to these. So this is existential for us. And the stamping mill gives us pottery, flour, and copper bars. I don't see much value for that. I definitely see value in the... It looks like we haven't been given any options for empathy decisions, so I think we just have to live with those. I'm also going to go a bit bold. I'm going to move these guys fairly aggressively in here. Okay, so we've lost the benefit for the lizards, so there's no point in committing too heavy there. Let's think about the rest. Okay, so if I can make 15 building materials, we're good. Okay, so actually, with 15 building materials, I can see us. Okay, so realistically, we need 3 points because we've already got 1 for what we're going to complete. So for building materials, I can make that out of a rain mill or a makeshift. I think we just use the makeshift post here. It's not going to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be pretty. It has to work. And Sother the Ancient better have food or we're screwed. He's got tea, so he's got that going for him. The flour might help. Tablets don't actually get me anything here. Let's start with the clothes. The problem is we can't eat any of this stuff. I definitely should have been doing more trade. Okay, so that's a start. Let's see how these trade jobs do. Okay, so planks to the smoldering city. How many of these do we have? 18. Okay, we're actually slower in plank production than I thought we were. So I guess the only thing is that we don't really need amber right now. Otherwise that would have been good. Okay, so now that we've got the flour, the question is what do I do with this? Because it's one thing to have flour, it's another thing to actually have... You can't just make a crust. You do actually need to have something in it. Yeah, I got nothing here. Okay, so we're going to invest for the future. I think it's fair to say that I don't need the forester's hut anymore. that what I should be focusing on is the... this gives up 1, but it's worth it. So how are we for herbs overall, I suppose, is the question. More than we really need. So here's what we do. I do 2 herb gardens dedicated to roots. Yeah, it's all the same, really. Oh no, it's not. You know what? Let's just rethink that until we can. So the crazy thing is, like, we're almost there as far as the meat is concerned. But we may starve before we can fix it. If I favor the harpies, they're gonna... Well, I can't because we're about to have a really brutal winter. Or storm, rather. I'm gonna say that this is dedicated to herbs, and then we, with the other 2, we... It's taking too long. Okay, so we're just gonna batten down the hatches. We're gonna have a miserable storm. We'll see what's left after the chaos. And then I think I'm gonna go all in on the harpies out on the other end of the storm. This is the time we close off all the paths to the... So we're doing an okay job fighting the cysts, at least, and we're not... the Queen's Impatience is going to go up from the people who we lose. But yeah, okay, so Royal Gardens I can achieve. Rainpunk Engineer I think we're on path to completing, so that's 2. Again, it's going to be tight, but I think we have a path to a win here. What are our building supplies looking like? We got more fabric than we need. I think we can shut down the Weaver. I'm gonna get them to build stuff first. Okay, so woodcutting harpy left. So we're about to lose a beaver. You know what? That could have been worse. Each newcomer group has 2 additional villagers. Fungal guide. Ancient mushrooms farming techniques are described within. Mushroom production increases 1 every 25 times it's produced. And a hidden reward. We are going to do a crowded caravan. Okay. So, like I said, the aim here is going to be to go all in on making the harpies happy. So, with that in mind, we're going to start by filling up the bathhouse. There's a couple other things that I want to focus on, which is right now we don't need. Okay, actually, you know what? We'll put like minor production. Yeah, we definitely don't need people in the tool shop like we used to have. I'll be honest too. I actually haven't normally put this many. I haven't normally had this many people cutting wood. I don't really feel like we need the rain mill right now. Okay, so we'll put the beaver to work at the woodcutter's camp. This is fine. Okay, this is the trapper's camp. We definitely need this thing up and running as soon as it was available, so we fill you with a couple of lizards. Okay, so it's pies, biscuits, and jerky. Oh yeah, we're fine. This is nothing. This is nothing. When I was making the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, you know what happened? 3 of the horsemen died. Apparently herb and meat on occasion. I thought I had something that would generate okay, man, we gotta... Okay, so we'll take a couple bodies out of the blight post. I don't feel like we need the reeds as much. So yeah, we can afford to pull back on these. Again, food production is becoming the main priority. We are going to be able to clear out the noxious machinery. Okay, this is dedicated to herbs. I'm gonna need roots, otherwise we are in trouble. Okay, I'm just going to let everything else run as nature intended. I better hope that we can get a... oh, that's right. We wanted somebody for the bathhouse, too. Okay, you know what? I'm going to say... cut all the basic production, except maybe the lumber mill. How are we on close? 58. I think we can give up one of those. Okay, let's see if we can make something happen with that. More bodies. I'm gonna go for the biggest numbers. So we've got 9, 6, 8. Okay. Well, this comes with a bunch of food, though. So I lied. So food production first priority. I think we're gonna say construction is the next. Let's get those herb gardens up as quickly as possible. Oh yeah, and this is probably a time to re-roll. Smokehouse is better than nothing, but I'm probably not going to take advantage of it. Well, no, we can keep re-rolling for a vegetable garden. Or Trapper's Camp, but we've already got one of those. Well, being able to get a second one of those running is actually pretty good. Okay, so I need about 2.5 points now. So we're going to play favorites with the Harpies for a bit. And we've got Beaver Homelessness. So we're at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. $13, $14, $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20. Okay, this is roots. Ah, crap. We also need to plant, we need to put down the farms, or we actually need to plant the stuff. But with 22 on the harpies, we're actually looking at some good numbers here. So I don't need to worry too much about the specifics. Okay, so I did say that I wanted to... So again, we're still trying to complete objectives. So in this case, 15 building materials. Use fabric for that. Alright, it's gonna get kind of dicey because we weren't able to properly plant. Although I'm not getting low food complaints right now, so maybe that's turning out. Yeah, we got the biscuits and the pies coming online. So actually, with that in mind, I'm going to diversify the crops again. Oh, but we're already out of flowers, so, man, look at those. Look at that resolve. We got a storm coming up, so that's going to go away pretty soon, but... I'm going to let them finish building all this stuff here, because I'm going to get to a point pretty quickly... yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say we've won this, but it'd be nice. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so we got more than what we need in the tool shop right now, so we'll just leave that be. We're gonna get them finishing off all of the items first. Oh, you know what? We're not that effective as farmers until after the storm. So yeah, we're gonna, like, the next storm coming up is gonna hit us hard. Ideally, we will actually pass this reputation point before we get there, but I don't know. Like, it's not looking like that's gonna happen. I'm definitely going to need to remember this forester's hut in future, though. This is actually pretty cool. Oh yeah, actually, we just put a bunch of people towards that didn't need to be. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so less than a minute, sorry, half a minute before the storm. Let's make sure that we're protecting the edges of the glades. Actually clear all of this out for all I care. Oh, we've got a trader. What have we got here? All the flour you can give me. All the vegetables you can give me. All the roots you can give me. All the eggs you can give me. Mushrooms too. Hurry up with the building materials already. We need to man the light post again. So we're still in the blue. Apparently, one of them's taking a break. Okay, so now we're potentially going to lose a beaver. Best we can do is just recover a little bit of the anger, but in this case, again, we're not getting the ticking reputation anymore. We are getting to a point when I'm going to have my builder's tools. In fact, it's one of the other. If we can complete the Royal Gardens objective or the Builder's Tools or the Rainpunk Engineer, any one of these. In fact, one thing I can do is just crank it in the lumber mill. So any one of these will be sufficient to win the level. Got it. And before we lost the beavers too. Hey, and we got level 10. Oh man, this was a really good session of Against the Storm. So I'm sorry for... I'm guessing that probably some of this stuff wasn't so clear to people watching. I wanted it to be, but I know I definitely started getting some tunnel vision to just see this thing through. Are there any questions in terms of how this worked or like what the breakdown was? I wish I could have answered those at the time, but I'm happy to do sort of a bit of a Q&A at the end because this wound up being exactly the duration that I normally do for my stream. But yeah, so I didn't realize we were this close to the foxes. Fox fundamental upgrade. Majestic and mysterious creatures deeply bonded with the forest. They evolved a symbiosis with blight rot through long exposure to rainwater, which caused some visible side effects. Foxes are skilled scouts and feel comfortable working with rainwater. They are highly susceptible to starvation. New Citadel upgrades. We've got the beanery, so can produce porridge, pickled goods, and crystallized dew. So this was something that we saw in the encyclopedia we couldn't work out without seeing some tutorial. It's all very confusing, but I enjoyed the... Yeah, this is one thing. It is a very good game for vibes, although the drawback here is that I sort of said I wanted to be focusing on a strategy, which I did, but because I was so focused on delivery, I sort of moved past my overall explanation. So basically, okay, the one funny thing about this is that I built a strategy around using the tools to gain the favor, and not only did I overproduce on tools, but I actually didn't run into that many caches that I could work with. Foxes in this game, majestic and mysterious. Foxes IRL, screaming cat, dog, trash, gremlins. So, the weird thing is that the strategy that I wanted worked very well, and it actually almost lost me the game. So, what I started by doing, the way that this game works is that you get a draw for your next building, and that's only after achieving certain goals. So you get very basic buildings, and the rest is you get a probabilistic claim on some of the buildings that you will find essential. So the first thing that I said is like, okay, so I've never been able to sort of deliver on all of the objectives, but what I have been able to do is deliver on enough of the objectives that by opening up additional glades, I've been able to send the goods back to the Citadel, and that's granted enough favor for me to be able to pass things through. And that was the premise I was operating under. And generally that worked. So whenever we did find a cache, we had the tools that we needed to be able to open it up. So I said, okay, what do I need to be able to build tools? I need a tool shop, which needs fabric and planks. I can build a tool with wood or planks and copper bars or crystallized dew. I realized we didn't have any copper deposits, so I said, let's focus on making this crystallized dew. And then I said, in order to be able to build the tool shop, I needed a brickyard, a lumber mill, and a weaver. And I also realized that the brickyard would allow me to build the crystallized dew. Now, what I also noticed was that crystallized dew was something that I would need for the tea and then a few other things as well. So that's where I invested in the forest hut. And that's potentially where I blew the run. Because you notice that I was getting a bunch of those low food warnings. And the drawback here is that farms can be a really good source of things like grain, which you can turn into flour and then turn into things like pies and biscuits, which the harpies like. And the drawback is that I wasn't generating enough like real food. Herbs can be turned into food provided that you have the flour to be able to make the pie with them. And of course, that was the catch, is that I didn't have a reliable source of flour. And so that's why with that final trader, I said, okay, I'm just gonna like max out all of the food that I can get. And you'll see that I started moving in the correct direction for that. So I was combining the herbs and the roots so that I could, roots can also be turned into flour. So I was starting to move towards that. But the general flow of that session was to say, it's like, okay, so let's get some basic building foundations now. I've got the long run sort of source of tools that's going to allow me to be able to open the caches, which will help me get some reputation. And again, the catch with that was I wound up in some situations where I was really hurting for food. And the way we overcame that was partially through trade, but also through just trying to adjust the priorities. And then there were like certain buildings that I had the option of scrapping. And instead I sort of preserved them so that I could have people working in terms of the different food areas. But the real drawback here was that I spent way too long building the buildables. The planks and the bricks. I had something like 50 tools at the end. I had more crystallized dew than I knew what to do with. So I definitely need to get a little bit better at making sure that I have, so I don't mind a steady trickle of things like tools coming in, but obviously if I have a whole bunch of tools and my people are starving, that represents the wrong set of priorities. But again, it's hard to argue with a win, right? So anyways, new Citadel upgrades. We've got the Fox race, we've got the Beanery, we've got the Forum, a place where villagers can fulfill their need for leisure, education, passive effect public lectures. The Alchemist's Hut, we actually got, we were able to use that this round because it was one we discovered. Cornerstone without restrictions. Villagers have a 10% chance of receiving bonus yields from production, but consumption control is disabled. I actually almost never use consumption control, so without restrictions seems like a good one. And cheap constructions, buildings cost 40% less, but every discovered resource node has 5 fewer charges. That's a neat way of handling that. Okay. So, settlement complete. The village's position has been secured. You can now choose to leave or continue to play on this map, but any additional deeds won't be completed, and you will not earn any more experience points or Citadel rewards. So we gained 140 experience points, 70 food stockpiles, 14 machinery, 3 seal fragments. We completed the deed Lost Colonies, win a game near Ruins modifier, and our score breakdown, 150 points for a win, 14 for reputation, 420, 7 impatience left, 210, 7 orders completed, 52 points, 12 regular events completed, 36, 3 dangerous events completed, 345, 1 forbidden event. I actually didn't realize we didn't do that many sort of dangerous and forbidden glades, but I suppose I did that by design. So 45 points there. Kind Soul, so no villagers died, 75 points. 20-minute adventure, finished the game before year 12, 15 points. It's a town, so with at least 40 villagers, 15 points. And Guildsman finished the game with 100 amber, 60 points. So back to the world map. And I got an achievement. Good for me. Now, there used to be other factions on the map. I don't know if that got replaced or quite what the deal with that was, but the goal that we had was to get to these seals. So, again, it would be interesting to sort of work with some of the other. It would be nice to work with some of the other modifiers, but this was my goal for this particular run. So we're just going to move ahead. Looks like we will be going to the marsh. Well, there's 2 options. We could go to the marshlands or the royal woodlands. Both of them give the same rewards, but we'd have to click. So the marshlands have gathering knowledge. The marshlands are gatherer's paradise. Gathering speed is increased by 10% for every 2 workers assigned to gathering camps. And giant organisms, the marshlands are home to enormous life forms, giant resource nodes that can be found in forbidden glades. Each glade will have a different one. Alternatively, we can try the royal woodlands. Punishing, yay. So, gift of the woodlands. The royal woodlands are very lush and rich in timber. Trees give more wood. Pretty generous natural resources. Honestly, though, based off those descriptions, I don't think the marshlands are all that bad. I definitely don't have the time to do a second one of these, but I've forgotten how much I enjoy just kicking back and playing more Against the Storm. Again, I do need to get a little bit better at explaining my reasoning, but I'm not going to complain about a chance to play more of this. So you can also see here, so there's the cycle progress, so years left before the next Blight Storm. So this is where the storm is. So out of curiosity, has anybody read the 3-body problem? I know I have a number of lurkers, so that's always going to be a bit of a difficulty. So, but I don't know. It's worth asking. I'm going to go to the Smoldering City really quick. Not read it. Okay. On the odd chance that somebody's, watching this video that has heard of it, I kind of like to think of the storm as being kind of like the Trisolaran planet. I'll explain in game what this means, but for those of you who may be seeing this on YouTube or something like that, that's okay. Wall corner, comfort. Even the most rudimentary encampment needs distractions. Decorations are used to level up hearths. So this is some of the progress, persistent progress. So you can buy. I'm not going to buy the upgrades. Oh, how's the game? Okay, that's the. Oh, this is a nice touch. So these are my overall stats. So 3 games lost, 13-1. I quite like these stats. I feel like I've done that many games though. 16 seems like a small number given how much I played this. Then again, I do take a long time to decide things. Okay, so basically, these are the upgrades that you can buy for the Citadel. So they will normally require food, which we're earning. Some of the upgrades will require machinery, and then finally artifacts. So I'm kind of capped out in terms of anything that I can get from artifacts. Right now, it seems to finish off at level 18, and these will do things like give you more options for embarking. I'll maybe give an example up here. So, Vanguard Spire, all resource nodes get a permanent +1 to available charges. Essential Blueprint, Fox House. So Essential Building is something that you get as a default. So being able to get Vanguard Spire level 5 means that I'm always going to be able to keep the Foxes a bit happier because I'll have specialized housing for them as opposed to needing to build that. I quite like the Essential Buildings upgrades as much as I can. I'd actually potentially be tempted to get this upgrade right away. So you can see here we've got the Harpy House, the Lizard House, the Beaver House, the Human House. Some of the alternatives, so we can move up the First Dawn headquarters. You gain a permanent +1% bonus to the chance of obtaining bonus production yields. And the Herbalist Camp embarkation bonus, you get an embarkation bonus to choose from when starting settlement. So this is kind of a neat one where it, like, instead of taking additional resources, what you get is an extra building. Generally, these are the kinds of upgrades that make me pay attention, because being able to guarantee certain buildings is a pretty strong upgrade in a game where you have to make some decisions based off of... like when you have to make upgrade decisions based off of your best guess about what you're going to draw. Like, do you go for the suboptimal building because it's the bird in the hand as opposed to some future benefit? So I remember there was something that unlocked kind of a rival system. Okay, yeah, so Monastery of Vigilant Flame doesn't give me too much that I was looking for. Queen's Patient, the Obsidian Archive reduces the Queen's Impatience. Daily Expedition, Fundamental Upgrade once. Oh yeah, this is the one that... Rain Punk Engines was one. So did they move this later down the tree? Interesting. So embarkation points are nice, but it's not, like, they're not critical for me. These are a non-starter because I don't have the... Yeah, so the rivals, I don't know what happened to them, but I'll be honest, I didn't really engage with that all that much, so I'm not super sad to see it go, but yeah, so I may, before I do my next mission, I may actually go for the Vanguard Spire just so I've got the guaranteed Fox houses. And following that... Oh, maybe we just unlock the factions one by one? That's actually not a bad way of introducing that, come to think of it. So yeah, moving my way up to gaining the Herbalist Camp seems like a good way to... And then I feel like the Daily Expedition wouldn't be a bad one, but... I need to understand how that works a little bit better. But yeah, so I think the path that I'm going to go for upgrades would be start with Vanguard Spire level 5, potentially work my way up on First Dawn headquarters, and then consider an improvement to the Obsidian Archives, so that... Because when I take a look at these fundamentals, like this kind of seems to be like the core game mechanics that you're unlocking. So I'd like to have a better understanding about exactly what these... okay, well these aren't really fundamentals anymore. Upgrade all the Obsidian Archive and the Smoldering City to access the daily expedition. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Encyclopedia. Oh, interesting. By the way, the Twitch integration was enabled, but I'm kind of happy I didn't have people trying to make life difficult for me. So. Interesting. So it doesn't have that much to say about the... about sort of the overworld. Modifiers and world events. The world map is filled with things waiting to be discovered. Every point of interest on the map is marked with a question mark and may turn out to be either a modifier or a world event. Modifiers are special types of objects that change the rules of the game, for example, by allowing you to move every building in your settlement or by blocking your ability to trade. To take on a modifier, simply settle on a map tile adjacent to it. After winning, a game near it, the modifier will disappear, and you'll be rewarded with additional Citadel resources, or in some cases a special supply box from the Queen herself with unique rewards such as seal fragments or reserve embarkation points. World events, on the other hand, are short random encounters that offer a certain decision or challenge. To interact with an event, simply click on it when it's in range. Events are represented by an exclamation mark. When you select an event, the dialog box will appear with several options to choose from. Some are as simple as giving up one villager from the caravan for additional resources in each subsequent game, while others will require you to win a run under specific conditions. So this will allow me to... I was going to try and explain the Blightstorm cycle, but there's an entry on this here. So, the Blightstorm cycle. The world of Against the Storm is governed by an eternal cycle. Every few decades, a cataclysm known as the Blightstorm occurs and wipes the entire world map clean. The only safe haven is the Smoldering City. The calendar at the bottom of the screen shows how much time is left before the next Blightstorm. The bar slowly fills up with every settlement you complete or abandon. The amount of time is based on the number of years that you spend in a given town. When the bar at the bottom of the screen reaches the end, you will no longer be able to establish new settlements. The only thing you can do is complete the cycle by clicking on the highlighted button next to the calendar. Once the Blightstorm starts, the world map reshapes itself, settlements are destroyed, biomes are regenerated, and modifiers appear in new places. So the idea here is that you go and you move out to settle as much as you can. You know, you try and get this favor from the Queen, who's based in the Smoldering City, but there will be a point when this bar fills up that essentially a great cataclysm wipes this map out. Every single settlement you have is gone. You have to go back to the Smoldering City for safety, and once you do that, you start over again. And I'm assuming that part of the progression through the game is that you get a greater range for your caravans. So one of the reasons why I'm specifically trying to get to these targets here, the Bronze Seal, is so that I can see what's going on. I think it did say that when I try to use the seal, that's actually going to end the cycle. So I'll just read that again. The Blightstorm cycle is said to be somehow connected to the strange ancient seals found all around the world map. These intricate structures were built by a long-forgotten civilization, and it is believed that they hold a primeval malevolent force at bay, the so-called Sealed Ones. Unfortunately, the power of the seals has gradually waned over the millennia, causing the Sealed Ones to slowly regain their hold on the world. Your goal as the Queen's Viceroy isn't just to establish settlements and collect resources, but to also reforge these ancient seals and help the Crown protect the kingdom. To reforge a seal, you will have to journey toward it with your caravan, and collect enough seal fragments on the way there by winning games and completing modifiers, and successfully settle right next to it at the very end of the cycle. If you make it there much sooner, you can try and reforge it right away, but the cycle will end as soon as you start your settlement in the Sealed Forest. So, there are several types of seals with distinct names and symbols. Each subsequent seal requires more seal fragments and is located further away from the Smoldering City. At any given time, you can only see a maximum of 4 seals on the world map, 2 of the same type as the recently completed one, and 2 new ones. Successfully reforging a seal will grant you additional Citadel resources at the end of the cycle. The first time that you reforge a specific seal type, the time between future Blight Storms will be extended by a few years. So... yeah, so basically successfully settle right next to it at the end of the cycle. So we want to push towards it, but we don't want to do the thing that'll end the cycle. So I think it's just going to be click here, then we'll get access to this tile, and what we'll do is we'll just take care of the rest of the, we'll do the rest of the exploration. Maybe we'll see what it's like to try some of these. I don't know, maybe this one, then this one, or something like that. But anyways, something for me to deal with in the future. So we'll save and quit. Thank you everybody for watching. I feel that I mentioned this a little bit more on the tweet and I sort of just brushed it by, so I want to reiterate here. I was given a copy of this key from Hooded Horse, the publisher of this game, for promotional purposes. So I wasn't a little more clear on that, but I want to try and boost that back. I know it was on sale before, but I don't believe it's currently. Let me just take a quick look. Well, it's on sale in the sense that you can buy it. Oh no, it's currently 35% off. So still in early access, I should mention. And then what does it say at Humble? I know Humble has like a... okay, also 35% off. So yeah, it's currently discounted, but... Hello, Zenix112. I'm actually just getting ready to say goodnight. I'm sorry I can't go further, but thank you very much, Tiberiosity, for the raid. I can give you a quick shout out nonetheless. What were you playing tonight? I will try and find someone to host, though. For those of you that are fond of Against the Storm, we'll try and do better for next time, just in terms of talking a bit more about it. But do feel free to follow the stream if you aren't already, and we will be able to do it. For the rest of the week, so I'm not 100% sure what I am up to this week. I'm feeling like perhaps Phantom Brigade on Wednesday, but no guarantees on that, just because I'm not 100% sure what's going to be available to me. Phantom Brigade's a good default, but I had a couple of other alternatives. Friday, I guess we're back to Cyberpunk or Age of Wonders 4. I'm feeling slightly inclined to Cyberpunk. I guess the other thing is that could be a good time for me to do Outlast, actually. So we'll see how early I am. If I get an early start on Friday, maybe we'll try an insane run on Outlast. That sounds like that would actually be kind of fun. But anyways, as always, best way to find out what my plans are, I'll usually post them on Twitter. And of course, following on Twitch means you'll get the notification when it comes up. And what else? That's about it. I do notice that Dendrian is online, and in fact, I found Dendrian through Against the Storm. So he's currently playing Slime Rancher, which is a wonderful game in its own right. But Dendrian is a really good streamer to watch for Against the Storm. He plays it at a much higher skill level than I do. And he is also Twitch just gave me a recommendation here. Recommended smaller communities, and almost every single one of them has a higher viewer count than I do. Ouch. Anyways, but yeah, I will leave you in Dendrian's capable hands. He is, again, he's playing Slime Rancher right now, but if you do like Against the Storm, he's definitely someone to watch for that. Thank you everybody for hanging out. I will see, I guess, most of you on Wednesday, and for those of you who are here for Against the Storm, probably next week, but again, it always depends on what's available. So, Until next time, take care.